What's up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. My name's John Quancho. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, today we are doing a breakdown on the Miami Dolphins, and I am a diehard Dolphins fan, so I'm excited to talk about them today. I got my hat on here just for this Dolphins video. I've been doing a draft breakdown on every single team, recording a bunch today even, so I've been itching to talk Dolphins here, and this is just going to be, I'm going to do my best not to be a fan here and just be critical the same way I've been critical about every other team's draft, but, if I let a little bit of fanship in there, you hopefully forgive me. Let's get right into it here. First of all, we got to look at their draft overview, and really, I mean, not a lot to say after the third round, right? They came in without a fourth or sixth round pick, and they ended up trading their fifth round pick for a fourth round pick next year with the Steelers. So once those moves happened, yeah, they had a bunch of picks in the first three rounds, and then, they had a couple seventh rounders, so we'll see what happens. So we're going to talk about pretty much their entire draft today, because what I'm doing is I am breaking down the first three rounds and breaking down all the players that go in the first three rounds. So this was already going to be a longer video, plus it's my team, might be a super long video. We'll see how long it ends up being. Let's get right into it with Jalen Waddle at 6 overall, and I am not gonna lie to you guys, I did not like this pick, and it's not that I don't like Jalen Waddle. I love Jalen Waddle, I really do. Penei Sewell was on the board. Penei Sewell felt like the pick to me. I thought Penei Sewell would go 4, and then I thought Penei Sewell would go 5, and then I was sure Penei Sewell would go 6. And I get the Jalen Waddle pick. I really do. He is a speed demon. He was my second favorite wide receiver in this class. He was my third ranked, but he was my second favorite. I make that distinction because Smith was ranked higher for me, but I like Jalen Waddle more. I like the way he played a little bit more. So that's listen. I think he will fit into this offense great. He will be a ton of fun to watch. And really, I got over it very quickly after going back and watching some Jalen Waddle highlights. Right, but I thought that the tackle at 6 was a sure thing. And also I love the idea of the irony, like we traded Tunsil for all these picks, and we just keep accruing more and more picks for that Tunsil trade, which is, I mean, you talk about winning a trade. It might be one of the all-time biggest wins as far as NFL trades go ever. And we just keep adding to that list of picks and assets that we keep getting for that trade. But I really thought, like, the irony of, like, oh, we're traded Tunsil, and 2 years later we end up getting a better tackle for essentially that same pick or what came from that pick, right? So yeah, I get the Jalen Waddle pick, but at 6, I don't see how we passed on tackle. I don't, but hey, I get it. It is what it is. We have a pretty good offensive line. We have some young players from the 2020 draft that have hit, and there's certainly some optimism there. And we went offensive line in the second, so it wasn't completely ignored as far as the position. So it is what it is. Moving on to their second pick. This is the pick that I lost my mind over. I was doing a live stream really right here, and when we took Jalen Phillips 18 overall, that was the pick that I wanted the entire time. Now listen, Jalen Phillips, he certainly has some injury issues, right? Jalen Phillips has the concussions. I think there was also an ankle injury at UCLA. He ends up medically retired and transferring to Miami. Miami ends up letting him play, and to me, he was the best pure defensive end in this class. Like, to me, he was really, really damn good. To me, talent wise, he was a top 10 pick, and I don't think anybody would argue with that. Now the concussions are a real thing. One more concussion, 2 more concussions, he's out of the NFL, and it could very well be a waste of a first round pick. So I totally understand. There's going to be Dolphins fans out there that are more risk adverse than I am, and that's totally fair. Listen, I'm a little bit of a gambler. Right? I'm a little bit edgy when it comes to that. I'll put it all on red. I don't care. Let's go for it. All right, let's go for it all. And to me, that's what Jalen Phillips is. He is a boom bust type of pick, and really, if the injuries are not an issue, I don't see how he misses. To me, I think it is very real to say this could be the best defensive player in this class, by my grade at least. This could be one of the best defensive players in the entire class, and if injuries weren't an issue, I do think he would have been in the conversation for first defensive player off the board. Now, granted, this wasn't a great defensive player class. The first defensive player off the board was J.C. Horn to the Carolina Panthers. So, like, take that for what it is. But I mean, I'm very high on it. I loved the pick. I love the upside. I think it really completes a defensive line where, we've had we're a battle of attrition a little bit as far as like that defensive line goes, where we rotate guys in. That's what we did. We moved on from a Carl Lawson this past year, who played okay, but he was limited. We have a lot of pieces there, but I don't think we have like one centerpiece of that edge / defensive line really positioned. We just had a lot of like good players that could play ball, and they could do a lot of different things with. Dolphins love to play that amoeba defense where you got a lot of like linebackers and defensive ends standing up. You don't know who's going, you don't know who's backing up into a zone zone coverage or whatever. Like they do a lot of that stuff, right? Now we have one guy, one centerpiece, and like you gotta block him. You gotta worry about him every single play because he's coming for you. It's not going to be scheme dependent. There's nothing you can do about everything else going on in the defense. You have to worry about this guy. I really think that's what he is. And maybe I'm overstating how much I like him, but I've been going too long. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to the second round. Their first pick in the second round, we had the Denver Broncos trade up and take Javonte Williams out from under us. That sucked. That did. I thought Javonte Williams was going to be the pick there at 36. Look, what are you going to do? Denver made a good move. They went and got their guy. And hey, what did the Dolphins do? Well, when in doubt, go DB. So we went Javon Hollins last year. Late first, we went Noah Igbenogany, who's kind of like more of a boundary press corner type of guy, developmental piece there. And now we got a Javon Holland, who I think is going to be the roamer. And it's very possible that this was the pick all along. It's very possible they weren't even thinking running back here because honestly, the Dolphins have done pretty well with UDFAs and 7th round picks, and they got another running back in the 7th round. We'll see if he does well. But we're talking about a guy who's very versatile. He's very good versus the run, has very good ball skills, can do a lot of different things. Negatives, listen, he does have a little bit tight hips, but he's 6'1", 207 pounds, and those bigger safeties, yeah, they usually do. I mean, to be totally honest. And it's not elite speed, it's just really, really good. He's going to be used in a lot of different ways. The Dolphins, their entire defense at the end of the day runs through the back end, right? They very similar to the Patriots in a lot of ways with the way their mindset is. We need to have shut down corners. We want to run a lot of man. We want to do a lot of unique and interesting things with our personnel. That's why they bring in a McCourty, which just happened today, and the day that I'm recording it anyway. Javon Holland, just another piece. They value DB a lot, and I know some Dolphins fans are gonna be like, another one? Really? Like that's a position of strength. Why are we going there again? Yeah, it's a position of strength because they keep reinforcing it, and I think that's going to keep happening. Like get used to it. The DB is going to go early and often for the Dolphins all the time. When in doubt, go DB. That's I think the Dolphins' mindset with the draft, and it is what it is. I'm excited about this guy. I think he's going to be able to do a lot of different things for the Dolphins, and it's going to be fun to watch. And then with their second pick in the second round, they trade up from 50 to 42 overall. We're going to talk about the trade in a second, but let's talk about the player first. They trade up. They grab the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a pretty good track record with offensive tackle, so we got another one here. 3-year starter at Notre Dame, just technically refined. I feel like has a ton of NFL potential. He's a guy who's going to be ready day one. He can play tackle or guard, but probably going to be the tackle for the Dolphins. Needs work in pass sets, needs work against power, and to really like anchor down against like bigger defensive ends. He definitely got pushed around a little bit sometimes in college. Not major, but again, this is a guy who I think is technically refined. Do I think he has like the highest ceiling in the world of like a superstar left tackle who's shut down every single time, every single play, and never misses, never, no, I don't think he has like that kind of upside, but he's a really solid starter, a plug and play type of guy. And really, when you look at like the way the second round played out, the Dolphins did a really good job trading up. I mean, the Bears traded up at 39 to go get Tevin Jenkins, right? And then the Dolphins trade up at 42 to go get their guy. There was a run of offensive linemen in the second round, and there was a ton of guys. I think all these guys that you're looking at on the screen right now, all of them have a chance to start. All of them, I think, are expected by their team to be a starter very early on in their career, if not day one, right? And the Dolphins go up and get their guy. If they would have sat there at 50, they're going to probably have the choice between a Cosme or a Dylan Radnez, who, we'll see what happens with those guys. Maybe they end up being better. Who knows? You never know with the NFL. But at the end of the day, you have the draft capital to go up and get your guy. Go up and get your guy. My issue with it, the downside, you talk about draft capital. I know they have it. I know they can afford it. But to give up a third rounder next year to go up and get him, that was a lot, and a lot of people talk about like the Giants finally learning to trade back because they traded back in the first and they trade back in the second. Yeah, I don't think it's about learning to trade back. It's about like the Giants are unrelenting when it comes to trades. They are either going to win or not do it. And I mean, the Dolphins lost this trade in a vacuum as far as draft value. To move up 8 spots and give up a 2020 third round pick, yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot. And not even get anything in return. If we were getting like a 5th this year or something like that in return, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with it because you're still getting some value back. You're getting some change back or something like that. A third rounder's a lot. Now, granted, to be totally fair, and this is something that's going to be brought up, and it's worth mentioning. We can afford it. But, we have the capital. We got a third round pick from the 49ers for the trade down to 12, right? And then obviously moved back up to 6. We're expected to have a compensatory pick somewhere. It's either going to be 4th or 3rd round. So we can probably afford it. But in a vacuum, trade value, the value wasn't quite there. But again, there's always nuance with conversations like that. You wanted to go up and get your guy, you went up and got your guy. You have the picks to afford it, you go up and get your guy. So I don't have a problem with it, but I definitely like bringing up trade value and bringing all of the nuance to these picks in this conversation. All right. So to end it out, we grabbed a Hunter Long in the 3rd round, and this was not a guy who was on my radar at all. I honestly didn't look at the Dolphins as a team that was like in super big need of a tight end, right? I know obviously we would have grabbed a Kyle Pitts if he was there at 6. Like, of course, like it's Kyle Pitts. I get that. But at the end of the day, we have a Mike Gesicki who's been really, really good at tight end for us. Not a guy who's been super good at yards after catch, but beyond that, I mean, the amount of circus level catches, the amount of times he's been open, he's been a security blanket at times for Tua and Fitzpatrick, or at least last year he was. So I like him. I like a Darren Smythe. I like a Adam Shaheen enough to be, rotational guys that can go in and at least play the position. I don't think we're just going to let them go, but to go get a Hunter Long in the 3rd, to me that says, okay, they didn't feel the same way that I did about our depth at tight end, and that's okay. That's just, they know more than me as far as things like that goes, and I don't pretend to know any more than I do. But with that being said, let's throw up the graphic and throw up the player himself. Has a great catch radius. He's a very balanced tight end. I think he can block and pass catch. I think that's where the value came from for the Dolphins, right? He can do a little bit of everything. He is going to be versatile as far as the way they use him. Not special speed. I don't think he's a special athlete, and his strength at the point of attack is just okay. So he can do a lot of different things, but there was nothing about his game that jumped out to me as special. So I think that's kind of what I would say. But again, the Dolphins clearly value guys that can do a lot of different things. Javon Holland in the 2nd round is a safety, nickel corner hybrid type of guy who they're going to be able to trust, facing off against a slot corner or slot receiver, excuse me. They also can trust him versus the run. They can trust him in a lot of different positions on the defensive, in the defensive front or anywhere they want to set him up. I think Hunter Long is going to be in that same kind of conversation. They can trust him in doing a lot of different things, and there's value to that. There's genuine value to that. So I like that a whole lot. But all right, guys, let's move on to some of my final thoughts here. Going to be my best and worst move, and then I'll give you my grades, and we'll get out of here. All right. So first of all, best move for me was trading. All right. They made a trade in the 5th round. I know this is a little bit obscure, and that's just how I am. I'm a draft nerd. I get into this kind of stuff. I get into the value stuff. They traded a 5th round pick in the 2021 draft for a 4th round pick in the 2022 draft. That's just instant value. Instant value. I love that. I love making moves like that where it's like, okay, we are instantly getting more value than the Steelers are, and Steelers fell in love with a guy and they're willing to make a move like that. Steelers are in kind of a we need to do everything now to win now kind of thing. But at the end of the day, 5th round pick, I mean, what are you really getting out of a 5th round pick usually? I mean, the hit percentage isn't very high in that range. So to immediately improve on your value there, I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, on the day, in the minute where I saw, oh man, I don't get to see who we're getting next. Like, oh, I got to wait till the 7th round for another pick. That sucks. Yeah, that I was sad then, but I mean, really, just looking back, you got to love an instant upgrade in value there. So I love that. My worst move, and this is nitpicky. This was the most disappointing thing for me as far as when I was watching the draft. I really thought we were going to get Penei Sewell. I did. And I know Dolphins fans are going to come at me and say, oh, how could you not love Jalen Waddle? I love Jalen Waddle. I absolutely love Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's a great player. It wouldn't be a long list before I got to Jalen Waddle as a pick that I would have wanted there at 6, the way the board fell. But Sewell would have been my number 1. Sewell would have been my guess. Sewell would have been the guy. And then I would have been like, oh, well, if it's not Sewell, I don't know. There's no defensive player you could get. Wide receiver, I guess Jalen Waddle, because it wouldn't have been a long conversation before I got to him. So I totally get it. I do. And I love Jalen Waddle. Again, I feel like I'm defending myself a little bit more than I should have to. To say that Penei Sewell fell to 7 overall, I think we can all agree that was surprising. Nobody thought he was falling outside of the top 6. And when you take things in a vacuum, yeah, I'm surprised by that. I really am. I think tackle would have been the move there. I probably would have gone tackle if I was making that call. I'm not making that call for a reason, though, guys. These guys are a lot smarter than I am. So it is what it is. Not something that bothers me heavily. Like I said, I was annoyed in the moment. I was surprised more than anything in the moment. And then I go back after draft night, after getting done with my live stream and all that crap. I go back and I watch some Jalen Waddle highlights, and I'm like, yeah, he's going to be fun to watch. Like, you didn't stay. I didn't stay mad for long, and I'm not upset about it at all. Moving on to my draft grades, and I do it a little bit different here. I break it down into 3 different categories. The first categories is players, and I'm giving it an A+. I'm giving it an A+ because I love the guys we got. And again, this isn't, I would have liked Sewell over Jalen Waddle. This is just grading the guys we got in a vacuum. I love them. I love Jalen Waddle. I love Jalen Phillips. Like, if I would have made a big board, Jalen Phillips would have been, very close to a top 5 talent for me in this class, and certainly would have been a top 10. So, like, just in a vacuum, talent wise, I love Jalen Phillips. He fell to 18 for a reason. Medical is certainly going to be a concern, but man, I can't love the player any more than I do. Moving on, Javion Holland, I already talked about it. I love Eckenberg in the 2nd round. I think that was a great pick, plug and play starter. I really believe so. This draft was awesome. The Dolphins did a lot. They got better, and we were already a 10-win team, and I do think we got better. So I'm excited to see what these rookies are able to do, how they're able to produce. There's no way that this isn't a net positive for the Dolphins. I don't see any way that some of these top picks end up failing or busting or anything like that. I think there's a very, very, very small chance of that anyway. I'm very, very excited to see what happens over the next couple of years. And granted, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm extra excited. But I love it. Draft value, I'm giving it an A-. It's still a very good grade, still an A. The trade in the 2nd round, again, in a vacuum, taking away everything else, the value wasn't exactly right, but you pretty much made up for it in the 5th round by getting a 4th rounder. And then needs in general, I thought it was an A. We hit all of our biggest needs. We needed another wide receiver. We have Preston Williams. We have a Devontae Parker who can play the outside wide receiver well, so we need like that slot kind of speed wide receiver, a guy who can be like another level than a Jakeem Grant, who's good but just not as dynamic, not as versatile, I guess I would say. You needed offensive line. You got that in the 2nd. You needed a centerpiece. I feel like a defensive end position. I think we got that. I really believe he will be the centerpiece of that defense at one point. I genuinely believe it will be that level of good. That's how high of hopes I have for him. I'm very, very high on a Jalen Phillips. So overall, yeah, we hit all the needs we needed to hit. I think we're a really good football team. I think the Dolphins have a very high upward trajectory, and it all really falls on one guy's shoulders. And for those of you who've watched me and know my takes, I wasn't the highest on Tua coming out, but I was okay with the pick, and I'm still very hopeful that the development comes. There's nothing that I saw last year that tells me he's not going to develop into a good quarterback. That we don't know how much the injury was still affecting him last year. We don't know, what would have happened if maybe he would have stayed in some of those games that he was pulled. I have a good feeling I know what would have happened, but we don't know for sure. So hey, this is a big year for Tua. He's got all the pieces around him. The team seems to be going in the right direction. And if Tua can put it together, I mean, the sky's the limit for the Miami Dolphins. I really believe that. I'm so super excited to be a Dolphins fan right now. Just a shout out to every team that is in rebuild mode right now, or going into rebuild mode, or in that kind of mindset where, oh man, we suck. It can turn around so fast. It really can. Granted, we were helped out by the Texans a little bit here and there, but other than that, man, it turns out so fast in the NFL. It wasn't that long ago. I remember thinking, oh, well, we're the first pick in the draft this year. So, coming into a season where I have expectation and hopes after winning 10 games last year, I couldn't be more excited to be a Dolphins fan. I'm going to get out of here. I'm done talking. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're interested in the kind of content I'm putting out, hit the subscribe button. Be putting out draft NFL kind of content all the time. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Peace out.